In a culmination of a bunch of things that have been happening over the last, I want to say like year and a half or so, just a lot of positive things happening in my life that have had me kind of look and review other aspects of my older middle-aged self and whatnot, and just see what I've been doing wrong in my life. Like, why haven't I achieved certain things that I think I'm able to achieve that I'm pretty certain I could have if I had done more? Why didn't I exert myself more? And to that end, I've been working more with other people on other projects. And right now, as I'm continuing the process of launching now my own projects, the things that I've been thinking of doing for some time, I've been thinking, what have I been doing in the past? What can I keep doing? And what should I do in the future to achieve the things I want to do? And carbon-33 is one of the primary things there. And to that end, like a few days ago, I was at the house, someone was over, and I've been doing daily sketches for some time. And the daily sketches, I just do these. I've been sharing them on Instagram. Haven't been sharing them on my video platforms. Like, we post this on YouTube. I have Odyssey. I have Rumble and BitChute, but haven't been sharing these things. But I want to do more of them. I've been doing things, but not actually thinking more like, what do people want? What is a service that I can actually provide? What goods are actually good for other people versus me actually just doing these things? And also, why don't I value these things enough to share them and market them with people and try to get some sort of other profitable way to actually benefit from the things that I'm doing versus just doing them? What have I been doing with my time? What am I going to do in the future? Those are a lot of thoughts that I've been doing, and I've been seeing a lot of people who've been inspiring me from just the things that they've been doing. Working on a creative collaborative convention here in Kenya, working on a couple of festivals, and just seeing the creatives here in Kenya that have been doing a lot. Reaching back out to friends of mine who are abroad and in different places and seeing what they're doing. Looking at other people in industries that I don't know personally or not aware of, not friends or acquaintances, and seeing what they're doing and comparing and contrasting and seeing I've definitely left way too much on the table. But there are some things I've been doing, and then with this whole situation, I've been doing the daily sketches, and that's one thing I've been decided myself a few months ago, just do those, and I've been doing those daily and keeping those up going. I think I'm up to like almost 3 months with those now. But with that, a few days ago, someone was over here to help to put on a big party event with a whole bunch of women coming over to assist my mom. So I was helping my mom out with that. And there's a whole bunch of people over there. So I'm sitting there and working all day, getting stuff set up. And then it gets to the point where I'm like, okay, now, am I going to do my daily sketch today? I don't really have the time. It's very late. I've been working all day. I decided, okay, I'm going to do the daily sketch. But somebody who had also over to help was in the room. And I was thinking, should I go to a different location and do it there and then just get it done and come back in? I decided, no, let me just do it there in the table. And I did it. Then the next day, they approached me and I started asking me, okay, what do you do? What are you doing? What were you doing there? And we started talking. And then they told me, someone who were working with my mom on different projects. And these women who came over to this event are people who come together. This is more of like I think this happens in other places as well, but in Kenya, there's a lot of these kind of Harambee associations where people come together for various reasons based off of various associations and relations and communal reasons, but they do a whole bunch of things together. And this is one of the women's group that has been helping my mom do a lot of things. My mom's been helping them. And it's just like a kind of thing that they do. It's a very social thing that I haven't been doing enough of. This is something that I've been thinking I need to do more of. So just seeing my mom still doing that, and it's kind of more inspirational other places. So this one person came to assist. She's been working with my mom on some other things, told me about a project they've been working on with somebody else who's come from like another country to do something here. And just by me deciding to keep doing my daily sketching, just doing it at the location, not being like just my same mentality, oh, I'm just doing this hidden, it's just for me. Having that ability to do that, doing that leads to this connection, this person who's connected me to this other person, who, if I'm not even directly working with this person that I was connected to, the thing that they're doing is definitely something that ties into the things that I want to do. And then that got me thinking, okay, what are the things that I've been doing? That's something I've been reviewing for some time. And going back to doing more regular posting and launching out my own studio, Carbon33 Studios, which is something that I'm going to do, I'm wondering, should I cross out Rantathon and Dying Alive? So I've been thinking about that for some time. Then I talked to this person yesterday after the successful event hosting with my mom and talking about the potentials of that. And I've been wondering some of the things I've been doing with Rantathon, which is my blog. I started that in about 2008. And I think I'm up to, it's over like 3,500 or 3,400 posts or something like that. But I've been posting 1,940 something posts in a row, so I've been doing that. But I look at my WordPress dashboard, and it's like zero, zero, zero views, one, two, here, there. I don't even share that. I don't even share that on my platforms. I don't share that on my socials. Why not? What have I been trying to do that? Now, some of the content I've been doing on there, I'm wondering, okay, so I've been doing that. Why don't I do more of that? Dying Alive, I started in 2017. I haven't been posting much lately. We'll be posting more as I'm working on certain projects and doing these other things. But I'm wondering, some of the content that I was doing on this, some of the things I've written about, I'm wondering with this next person, like if they see me doing this stuff, was I not sharing this? Was I was thinking by sharing the stuff that I'm doing here, it would reduce my ability to do these, but then I wasn't sharing the stuff and it's not like I was doing these things either. So now that I want to go and do these things, do I need to hide this stuff? Should I cross out Marathon and Dying Alive? And I don't think I'm going to. There's different projects I want to do, and it's a part of this. So what was I doing this? I was waking up at night, not able to sleep, and just thinking, okay, what was I trying to do this? And I think what I was trying to do, I was trying to make sense about an inherently insensible things that I did not understand, and was looking at rational actors. I was trying to make sense about the inherently insensible. So I did not understand that I was not looking at rational actors trying to align themselves with reality, but or to better deal with the future. So I was not looking at rational actors. This is what I think I was doing. I was not looking at rational actors trying to align themselves with reality to better deal with the future. Instead, I was I was looking at political actors engaged in a sort of retroactive ad-libbing to rationalize the preferred outcomes of the various political stage plays we're all subjected to. And there's many reasons why I've been so interested into sociology, into politics, into economics. For one of the things is definitely for Carbon. I think one of the things that really kicked it off was when I was trying to develop my characters for Carbon, which is a project I started when I was in college as just like a thing that I was doing because I was really a fan of Final Fantasy. Then it was no fantasy to Final. Then somebody suggested I do more with that and create my own characters. And it went to that. Then I changed it to Carbon because it was something that I realized was a way I was trying to figure out in my life. There was a relationship I was in at the time that wasn't working. Then my character switches, and then in that world, maybe it works out, and then they come to this world and the other things of that. So it was still more just like a theoretical thing. And then I started realizing all the other things I do are tied into that. But it got to a point in about 2010s around there. I was like, okay, now I really need to actually do something with this and set up like the actual story. What am I going to do for it now that it's completely my own project? I think my characters are good people. What kind of political system would these good people be in? One of them is in security forces. One of them is a king of a certain place. People playing sports, people doing all these things. So what's the morality system? Then that made me start analyzing more about what are the moral systems that exist in the world today. And that kind of shook my foundation and led to a lot more of this kind of stuff going into there, and then getting more of a political junkie, and also just trying to figure out as a kid of diplomats moving around, where do I fit in? What political system am I in? What culture am I in? What bills, all those things. So a wide range of things tied into me getting more into that. But that led me to just look more into this. And the whole time I'm distracted, I'm not necessarily doing my things. I'm still doing some Rantathon, like I started this in 2008. I'm still regularly drawing. There's sometimes I'd go months and not draw. That's one thing I'm never going to do again unless I'm like completely injured. And even with the whole completely injured thing, I remember playing American football and I cracked my growth plate on my right hand. You can see, I don't know if you can still tell, but that knob in there kind of bumps up a bit. And I remember not being able to actually draw because I was wearing like a kind of like a cast. And with my left hand, one thing I started doing some time back was trying to practice how to write with my left hand. And this is something that I've been doing. I just started doing that for some time, and then I've gotten pretty good at it, where it's not necessarily as good as my right, most definitely, but it's not like my right was the best kind of writing as is. It's smoother, it's faster, and things like that with that. But I took years where it's just every night or every morning, I would wake up, every night before bed, I would wake up and just do these sheets with just different things where I'll just use my left hand and just do different drawings and stuff like that. So I would do that, and this book itself was one of my older sketchbooks where I decided to do that. And then I kind of stopped off with some of these, see the characters I'm still working on with the Carbon, but just taking y'all on a bit of a story here. So this is what I would do just to practice using my left hand. So all this stuff I would do with left hand. And this one, I'm scanning this book and I'm starting to work back into the book that was already existing and doing things in different pages. So regardless, I was doing that and I decided, okay, let me get back to that as well. wrote this first line, and I was like, okay, I haven't done the left thing for some time. Then went in and started the left writing. I would work on like how do you write things backwards, like the other way, flip things around. So it's things that I'm doing, but look at different ways of how to do the things. Observe, like, am I maximizing the way I do things? Yes, I'm doing my right, but have I maximized? If I could draw with both hands at the same time, that's more of a maximization of it. I'm still not able to do that, but it's a situation where it's like, okay, I can draw in my right, but let's say I lost my right hand, lost the ability to use it, I lost it completely. Would that all of a sudden get me in a point if I'm relying on my ability to draw, not the drop-off time to actually be able to use my left? Whereas I have the time, let me actually do something and actually learn with my left at the time. So if that ever happens again, I'm ready to do that. I've actually done some contingency planning, and that's some adulting things that people do that I have definitely failed at doing. I'm cognizant that I failed at doing that, and I'm trying to do more of those, and I've been applying more of those. So anyway, was thinking about those things I was doing, and I just thought, like, right now with this person, had a great conversation about the different projects that they're trying to do and the things we can potentially do in the future. And I'm wondering if I shared my portfolio with them and they went to my Rent-A-Thon blog and they went to my Dying Alive channel and they saw some of that stuff, would that dissuade that from working with me? And what was I trying to do then? You know, am I going to hide that stuff? Was I hiding it by not sharing it? I used to share this stuff more. I've seen people, I really enjoyed the conversations I was having on there. That was a way of me trying to sort out the world. And I've met some pretty cool people off of that. Even the friend that I'm actually working on this actual carbon33 project with right now is someone I think we met by him seeing my channel and seeing the thing I was doing. And then we met there. Then I've met him in person by traveling to Seattle. And anyway, so regardless, we've been doing that. I've been doing that. I've been doing certain things, but not putting them out. This Pink Panther thing is another project that I've been doing. One of the projects I was doing was RTs. RTs was something I thought of initially doing way back. I don't think it might have even been before college. It might have been right after high school or something like that. But I've been thinking about that for some while, and I have a Redbubble store with about 250 designs, at least 250 designs, a lot more that haven't been posted up. That's a situation where like this site is essentially free to put it up there. You open the site, you do the designs, you put them on there. The Redbubble it's a drop shipping service, so they get a percentage of it. You put what profit you want to have per sale, and that whole system is set up, but I don't post the things up. I don't share those things as much as I really could. Why not? I'm still proud of the designs. I've had a couple people buy them, I've made some money from it, not anywhere close to enough, I'd say, but like I could do more of that. And so RT's Pink Panther was one of the things that I was doing with that. I did it was like the Pink Panther, but it was like the Black Panther thing, the Black Panther design based off of this other idea that I had on a Dying Alive video that I was trying to sort out some storytelling and some things with that, with like representation and the way things work. And that got struck down because that is a site that is a big company, the Redbubble store, and a company like Disney or whoever owned the rights to Pink Panther can sue them because I wouldn't get sued for it, they would get sued for it, so they strike it down. But I think it was enough of a creative license where I was changing it enough to be something that shouldn't be like a copyright violation. And one of the things I want to do already, I want to figure out how to do all my stuff and be open source with the things that I do. But coming back to this, if I had just put in more effort on myself and had my own t-shirt stores, had my own ability to have it independently, had the ability to do the printing myself and send them out, then if they send it to me, by that time I would have built that thing up, have some lawyers or have some ability to be like, look, this is a change to it. This is not just like the default thing. But regardless, I could have that out there. I could be wearing those shirts myself. I could be doing more with the RTs. Definitely a project I'm still going to do. That one is tied into Rent-A-Thon, is tied into Dying Alive because there's many videos. Like one thing I want to start doing now is if I do the content, if I do videos, if I do posts, there was a time when I was like, okay, let me draw covers for each post. Now I have some default covers, but with the videos, if I'm doing like a longer form video or something, I want to like screen record myself doing the video, speed drawing for that one. I'm wondering like, would these be kind of interesting to even like sell these? If I had to print of this, I think with something like that, you have to be popular enough because some of this stuff is just like scribbles. I mostly go to like ABC, do different symbols, do like numbers and things like that, but it does not necessarily make sure. And I've got like probably at least 35 of these sheets like this, but just different things where I can like do more with them. So now I find a way, like I'm already drawing, I'm already doing certain things. How do I put those things together? How do I monetize? How do I become more productive with those things? Those are things that I have in my mind. So RTs is definitely something I'm going to keep doing. And this was the sketch with the Pink Panther. I don't know if I have a better version. Yeah, the Pink Panther was on this other sheet. like it was closer to something like this. Like you can see it has the Chala. So it was like Disney and the Black Panther people who could have gotten me for this. And then with these sketches over here, now that is working on based off of the character design, but I think that was a bit tied into like this Akumetsu. This was this I think it was from South Korea or something. I read that some time back. And now with Akumetsu, that's a thing where like this vigilante type character goes against the political system in South Korea. And also the things that I'm doing. I can still be doing this political, I'm a bit of a political junkie. I'm still very interested in that stuff, sociology, politics, economics. I can still be doing that stuff, but doing it in my own way. Instead of just looking and commenting on other things that are out there, how do I tie in my own things? I could tie those in, like, part of me looking into this was because I was trying to do the carbon thing, and the things that I've looked into, why didn't I do that commentary through carbon? Why didn't I do that commentary through the RTs? Instead of just posting this stuff out here where it's more just like analysis of things out there. So that's one of the things that I'm thinking, okay, those are tied in together. I Know Great People is another series that I started doing some time back. I think I have about 10 interviews with that. This one is just like one thing I've seen from traveling around the world is I wish that the people that I knew met other people that I've met in other places. I wish there was a way to have all those people come together. And with I Know Great People, that's one of my attempts to do that, because I think a lot of other people share that sentiment, where if you just talk to people about certain things, so there's like a questionnaire about, I think, 8 questions and like 3 follow-up questions and after that. And my idea is once you're in the conversation, once you're in that thing, you can take those questions and then you can host someone else. So I want to grow this thing kind of like 6 Degrees of Bacon, if you guys have heard of that. That was a thing in the States about how pretty much every actor in the United States, in working in Hollywood, is 6 degrees, is 6 people away. Like Kevin Bacon worked with this person in this movie, and then that person was a writer in this other movie, and then that writer was the brother of somebody who's in this other movie, and then they did this TV series, and that's like the degrees. So pretty much everyone was that way. And in my experience, we are way closer to each other than we think, than some of us think. And the thing is, we're just not using social media and the information system in current timeline as good as we can. I'm definitely not doing it. I could have been doing a lot more with getting in touch with people here locally in Kenya, and also outreach to the people that I already know, and just doing more with spreading my stuff out there and seeing who connects to me through me putting that stuff out. So I Know Great People is one of the projects I'm going to do that with. That one I don't think is related to this. I think that one will come in a separate thing. But all this stuff is coming under Carbon33, the studio, the main idea. Now, human actions matter. I am politically, I would say I'm closest to like anarcho-capitalist, would be the closest definition of how my political and economic point of view is. And human actions matter is, I'm a fan of the Austrian School of Economics. I have read a lot of the books of Mises, Rothbard, these people, and now I want to go through the human action book and break it down step by step. Like chapter by chapter, do maybe like comics or illustration images to go along with it. Now that's a project I want to do. And now like the human actions, my human actions are the ones that matter the most in my lack of success, in my lack of achievement, in my lack of contentness with where I am in my life. It's my human actions. So what are the human actions that I have taken that matter the most? And this is based off of the Black Lives Matter thing, because with that movement, I happen to be Black according to some people. I define myself as a Negro. I just was born that way. That's what I was. I'm an artist by choice. I chose to do those things. And I was named Silence. So some of these things, I don't necessarily have a choice in them. Some of them, you take them on. So what are the actions? The drawing, these kind of things are the things that are actions to me. Yes, I happen to be born in certain places. Yes, I've happened to be in some situation where I'm privileged enough to have continued drawing. Most of us draw and do these things when we're kids. A few of us just continue due to random circumstances, and some of us, some things happen in our lives where we don't think we have the time to do that anymore. But with some of that, like this other project here, Those Who Can Teach, and After Ever After, I Know Great People, even with RTs, this ties into all these things. Carbon is going to be a cloud storytelling type of thing. Chefing it up is like, I've been cooking a lot of times. I need to get back to my fitness journey and lose weight again, get to a healthier self. But all these kind of things are social things where I'm not just doing this by myself, but I'm encouraging people to interact with it and do that in that way. So the human actions matter. Focus on the human actions that I can do in my life to do more, and other people can do more and participate in that. So that's one of the things that I want to do. Those Who Can Teach is a project that I thought of when I was doing some guest lecturing at Kenyatta University, where I was like, you know, there's that saying that they say those who can't teach. I don't think that's right. Like, even the ones who can't, in general, can't really teach that well. I had the experience of, okay, I do this stuff. I've been learning my own pipeline of drawing, but when I'm getting to a point where I'm teaching students, how do I break down the systems and teach them in a way where it's like, I'm assuming like this person doesn't know. Then I'm assuming certain things, like I'm assuming this person has knowledge that I don't have. So with that process, those who can teach is not necessarily just like get people who are achieving and doing actual things to be able to teach those things to other people, but also just people who have the time to do it. Like if you have the time, you should be able to set up systems. One of the things I wanted to do was set up a blog and have that just be teaching while I was going to America to try and get a project going with one of my friends that didn't end up working out after a couple of years of going back and forth between San Francisco and Nairobi and New York and Nairobi. That fell through. Kind of had a little downtime in my life to do that, but then now I'm working on like setting up my foundation and heading out. Instead of focusing on how do I get up there, how do I have a foundation here in Nairobi? And Kenya is like this, so that'll be like the home base here, and then from there I can go out to other places, which is kind of like what my parents did. Like they had the home base here, and they went out to like France up there, and like they came back. We haven't gone that way, and then we went back that way like that, and then we've been out to Italy. Anyway, so that's the kind of thing that I was thinking needs to do more of that. So focus on that, the human actions and things like that, how we're going to work on things like that. Okay, so those who can't teach, if you have time, some of the professors have told me like, no, you can't just let the students learn this way. Like you have to teach the teachers how to do this, and then you can go and, but I wasn't mentally in the right position to do that. But right now, I've just met some people. I'm going to go meet them this week coming up. Artiv, they're people who've left the system of just 4 years of school. Some of the things like the arts I don't think are best taught in like a 4-year academic university course sort of thing, because some of the kids will just be there just to get a credit. Some of the kids will be there because they really want to learn animation. They're really into illustration. They have different skill ability. So I think it's better to have certain courses, certain things taught in a more specialized for that thing sort of environment. There's some skills you're going to be able to learn in 7 weeks. Why do you need an entire semester for that? There's some things, if you're really into it, you'll be able to jump ahead of the things and learn a different way, but somebody else might need 20 sessions to do it. So give people the flexibility to do that. So I'm going to work with them to launch the system that I developed there and develop that more to tie it into also the carbon. So when you're doing these things and working on the projects in the whatever course material I create, it also has a world to live in. Has a world to live in carbon, because everything I do with that is tying it in. If people are doing designs on it, maybe I have the ability for them to actually have the store on Arties, or I can link to their store and do that if they're doing certain things. So anyway, so that's kind of how I'm thinking to tie some of these things in with it. Maybe if they really like what I'm doing with Human Actions Matter, when they're doing those courses, they can go in and go back in some of those things that I've done and contribute to that way. So that's one of the things that I'm thinking with doing that with those who can't teach. 1 Million Thriving Artists is a creative collaborative community that I've been working on here with one of my friends locally. She's been very inspirational in seeing what she's doing. Did that creative collaborative convention with her, and then helped her with 2 festivals, bringing back the festival that she's been doing, and that's been really inspirational. I want to continue that up because that's going to be able to tie into pretty much all these other projects. I'm going to start doing some interviews with some people that I've met through there. Even the guy that I met for Motika, the guy who I met for that I'm going to go meet for those who can't teach. He met me through me advertising and participating more in 1 Million Thriving Artists. So that's a thing starting. Our motto for that is to have 1 million thriving artists on the African continent, and then we see where to go from there, and I'm sold in for that. So we've had a bit of a downturn as we kind of figure things out, and no actual big project set up for this year, but we'll keep that going. We'll try to tie that in and see how we can keep that going. Now, After Ever After, that's one of the key things that I'm working on right now. This is kind of a newer thing to what I've been thinking of doing with like a storytelling, after every after, how they say somebody lived happily ever after, or many stories I'll see like, oh, it's a really cool story, but what happens after this? And there's a lot of fanfic, there's a lot of things like that. There's a lot of thoughts that I get from like really engrossing stories and what happens after. People also say like, there's that one saying that everything happens for a reason. I don't believe that. I believe there's reasons everything happens, and then like from there, the importance of that X that has happened is what happens after the X. The reasons, the things that had led before, everything happens for reasons. There's reasons that lead to things happening. And better knowledge of those things that happened before makes you have a more effective after the X. If you want to repeat the X, you need to know what happened before, then you can repeat it. Like for me, I don't want to repeat the lack of effort, the lack of marketing, the lack of exposure, the lack of confidence in myself the lack of earning ability, the lack of actually seeing through certain projects that I've been doing in the past. So I need to understand what happened in the past that was wrong that led to me being in that situation in order to, after that, have something else. So with After Ever After, one of the key parts of this is just storytelling. I've been really a big fan of storytelling, focus on a storytelling platform. And one of the key projects with this one is going to be going to the countryside or just getting older people in Kenya, just different people with stories about the myths and the religions and the faiths and the folklore, those kind of things. I want to get those and start plugging them in and then now see what we can do with those folklores. And there's some of the daily sketches that I've been doing. I've been going to museums and galleries here in Nairobi and doing characters based off of that, because I think that's missing from at least sub-Saharan Africa. I think, of course, you have the Egyptian stories and things like that. So North African, which I think is kind of the Middle East in my estimation. Like, the the Eurasian continent gets to a point where, like, between Turkey, it kind of divides and becomes Asia, and then there's a part down there that becomes like the Middle East, yet it's on one continent. I think that Middle East can also still cross over, what canal is that, Suez Canal, and still go over to North Africa and actually be the Middle East. So kind of above the Sahara, to me, is like the Middle East rather than Africa. It's on the African continent, but it's the Middle Eastern pretty much. So I think there's some face in sub-Saharan Africa, not necessarily South Africa, because South Africa has developed that a lot more. And that's part of the project that this person introduced me to, is about setting up something in Kenya that's already in South Africa and in the north. But this would be some central hub of projects and things to do here in Nairobi. We'll serve a project for East Africa and this region. But anyway, so more on that later as that gets more solidified. Don't want to talk too much about that until there's actually more potential. At least I've seen it, and even if I'm not participating in it, it's something that I'm sure I'll introduce and talk to y'all about as my projects come up. But I think one thing that's missing in the human story is those sub-Saharan African things. We have Americana, we have Greek gods and stories, we have Asian stuff. I'm a big fan of manga and anime and things like that. And those stories are things that, if told in a certain way, can appeal to a wide range of people and show how connected and united we are in different ways. We have a lot more in common than we have in different. It's especially not just different, but antagonistic. It's good to highlight the antagonistic things, because those are the things that can cause harm. Those are the things that can be damaging. Those are the aberrant things. So I understand the focus on those. But there's also a lot of positive out there. And that's also tied into another project where I started like a page, a WordPress blog. I just did a few stories on that, where it's like, what's the good news? So that whole saying, like, I got some bad news and got some good news, which one do you want first? And someone say, what's the good news? So this one's just like, what's the good news? And with this one, I was thinking, instead of just producing good news, like, if something bad happens, like recently, there was that horrible earthquakes in Venezuela, where it's like, oh, that's a horrible thing that happened. And to me, earthquakes are still the creepiest natural disaster that there is. All other natural disasters, like hurricanes, floods, lightning, it's pretty much the elements being more wind, more water, more rain. I guess it's still more water. Those kind of things, wildfires. It's just like the fire is a regular event, but it's like a raging amount of fire. So when you have too much of a thing doing the thing that it already does, it becomes a disaster, it becomes a danger. But when it comes to earthquakes, Earth in general is supposed to be solid. More solid than this platform. You can see it vibrating a bit, find a way to stabilize it. But the fact that earthquakes are, the element itself, Earth, is supposed to be solid. It's something we take for granted. It's what we stand on. All of a sudden it starts shaking and moving. So it's doing something that the element isn't doing. It's not like acting more of itself. It's just a completely uncharacteristic thing of it. So anyway, with what's the good news, it would be a thing where you'd cover something like that. So you'd go out there and be realistic with focusing on, this has happened, this many people are missing. I think I saw a few days ago, still 40,000 people missing. It's horrible. From what I've seen, there's going to be massive amounts of lives lost there. And that's just a horrible, unfortunate thing. But you focus on that, and then now we'll be focusing on that. You give the actual data, straight reporting and straight stories like that. People come in and tell the stories, but you try to highlight good stories, good news from a good angle. Intentionally, you know what bleeds leads is one of the sayings that they say in media, in news. So instead of what bleeds leads, let's do a way where you can actually have intentionally focus on putting a good light to someone. This person saved this person. Sure, in this building, we lost 20,000 people missing, or in this area. I don't think they have favelas in, I think favela is a particular Brazilian thing. I don't think that's a Venezuelan thing. What's in Venezuela? The Colombia I'm talking about, in Venezuela. Okay, so if you have that kind of thing, the area, the neighborhood, the barrio, the hood, whatever it is, you can say 20,000 people are missing from here, but you focus, you highlight, you lead with a story of how this family was saved. Like I've seen some pretty good videos like that, like one where some woman was, I think it was like a grandma and like the son and the daughter or something, and then they get a phone alarm, and then you see them get up and the grandma heads out and is looking at the phone, and then the son was the last one to leave the chair, and then they leave, and then the room starts shaking and the camera kind of falls off. So something like that is like a positive thing. You're still covering the story, but you're covering the positive aspects instead of covering like, oh, this, look at this body crushed under this thing, and you focus on that. Focus on wrapping things out. Intentionally wrapping things out is good. You know, like this is a bad thing that has happened, but we're going to focus on the little light on that, the silver lining and whatever clouds up there, and focus on that. I don't know if there's probably people doing that already, but there is something about what it bleeds leads. So that's another project. I think the last one I really haven't touched on here was chefing it up. Chefing it up is I cook, like I said, getting back in shape. So that one I was thinking of getting an app situation where it's like, now this has happened definitely, because I had this idea a long time ago, was posting more on the blog, but I was have an Instagram page with it. I dropped off on the posting even though I'm still cooking. But with this one, I need to get to a situation where I wanted to have a situation where it's like, okay, when I cook, I hardly, even if I'm making the same meal, it's probably not the same either way. Like I can follow recipes and stuff, but I don't write down my own recipes. I have an idea like, okay, this is the rice dish I made this way. It was like coconut rice with coconut kidneys, goat kidneys, and some rice, and then like maybe like some salad on the side or some kind of mix like that. So I have it kind of in my head, and then I'll make it. It might taste like slightly different each time I make it, because sometimes I put more garlic, sometimes I put coconut milk instead of coconut cream. So I'll make certain changes like that. Sometimes I'll add some liver in there, and so it'll change it, or I'll have basmati rice instead of peshori rice. So things like that will change the actual recipe around, but it's still kind of something that I just do and I enjoy cooking. So I wanted kind of a site where, like, let's say I go to the kitchen, I don't know what I'm going to make today, and I say, okay, I have garlic, I have some goat meat, I have some zucchinis, and I have like some cassavas. What can I do? And I just post that on this group, on this app, and then different people suggest different meals to do. And then when you have the suggestion, you can do a social thing where you set your phone up and you just make that meal. Or someone's like, oh, I have the same things, let's cook together. And then you just kind of do a live stream where they're cooking and you're talking to each other and you're making the dish that you're doing. Oh, let's try this with that, let's do this. So it's kind of like a social cooking app sort of thing. And then you can also tie it into like, oh, if you're making certain meals, like I remember when I was traveling and some more, and also now looking for it, like when you live in certain places, there's certain foods where I'm like, I'll always buy this out. Because like if I'm cooking for myself, sometimes I don't cook for myself. I'm not cooking for myself mostly. But if you're cooking for yourself, there's certain things like a lasagna. Yes, you can make like a single dish lasagna now, like kind of in those small like carafe dishes or whatnot, like a small single size serving. But some of these things where you can make like personal pizzas, there's certain foods where I'm like, it kind of is better when you make like a lot of that food. So it's kind of a thing where, let's say you live in an apartment building. It's something I was thinking when I was in New York. You live in an apartment building, and you're like, okay, I won't feel like making lasagna today. But like even just the ingredients, buying like the ingredients for just like a single serving might not make necessarily that much sense. But if you're making like a large amount, the cost benefit analysis is different, but you're not able to eat the whole thing, or you don't like freeze it and keep it up. I prefer eating food like fresh and not like microwaving stuff or things like that. Suggestion to people: bake stuff, put stuff on the stovetop, use your oven if you have access to it. With pizzas, my favorite way for pizzas is not even the oven. I like putting it on like a cast iron pan. Maybe you put a bit of butter on the pan, and you cover it so the top will melt and then the bottom will get crispy. That's one of my suggestions. That, but just look at ways you can reheat things on the stove if you have the time and access to the actual utilities to do it. But anyway, so you have a thing where it's like, okay, I want to make a certain pizza, like it was like a Lipari pizza that my mom used to make using potato as the base. So I want to do that, but I want to make a large one. I don't want to eat that all myself. So I could just say like, okay, I'm in this location, I'm going to eat this thing. And I post it, and then maybe people in the apartment or in the neighborhood like, oh, that sounds cool. Can I come get some, or can I give you like $5 and give me a slice or whatnot like that? And then you kind of have that social thing where like the community is kind of sharing stuff together, and the next time you go get some food from their place, so that kind of thing. But then now with that one, there's practicalities to some of these things. As now I'm trying to make these things official, there's probably certain rules and regulations where that's like a restaurant type of food service. You can't just necessarily do that without certain rules. So how can you do these things open source? How can you work on these things? So regardless, this is just my return to posting more stuff, just the things I've been working on. I'm going to be a lot more active, but I'm going to do things in a lot more of a planned and actionable way. I'm going to be a lot more, it's not just going to be trying to figure things out, but it's going to be trying to produce something with a key goal that is also something that is accessible, that interacts with people. Because with arts, with creativity, some of the key part of it is what other people experience with it. I have all these sketchbooks, I have all these ideas, I have all these things where I've just been sitting there, it's not ready, it's not time to do this, I'm not able to do this, I'm not, this is one of my favorite compliments or opinions about the art that I was doing. I remember being at like a CVS way back in, was this like the 2010s or before, or I don't know when it was, but I think it was back from college. I was in the States, so this was early 2000s, and I was in CVS sketching something, and this woman came up, I think she was Hispanic or something, and she just said, "Oh, you have the magic," because I was sketching something. And there is something creative and magical about experiencing, about having something in your mind and putting it out there and just doing something and sharing it. There's some things that are personal to me that I don't share out, but all the stuff that I've put out, I don't want to like rescind the stuff that I've put out. Some of the stuff that I've put out on Ranted on Dying Alive might reduce the people who chances and things like doing this, but because that was still a part of me at that time that helped me become the person that I am now, I don't want to take that stuff away. And I want to do more about sharing the stuff that I have. Do me genuinely. More me genuinely out there. And through me being me more in public will attract more people to me who are also copacetic, aligned with the things that I'm doing. And that's kind of one of the things I'm going to be doing in the future as I work in carbon33. That's going to be the core thing to do all these things. Carbon33 is pretty much the studio business aspect to do all these other projects that are all part of Carbon, because this is going to be my life's work. I'm going to work on this for my life. I still eat. Human actions are things that matter. RTs is always going to be stuff I'm creating to do that. Storytelling is a key part to life. It's just what we do. I know great people. I keep meeting great people. What's the good news? I think good news is still something that is something we take for granted. Like the bad news sticks up because the good is the normal. That's kind of norm. Those who can't teach. I learned so much from trying to teach other people, and I've seen my nephews, and the things that I learned from just experiencing life and learning again through my nephews is massive. 1 million thriving artists. This is more like, I'm thinking as creatives, why was I coming back to Kenya in 2010 and thinking, oh, I can get a job in Italy right now. It's really hard to get back to America. The visa situation is really tough. Like, how to do this? Woe is me. Nobody really understands art here. Like, the industry is so far behind. And it's like, you're a creative. Create those things, create those opportunities. And that's the idea that I have right now, that I was talking to somebody. What that person is going to create with me or without me, and hopefully with me, is something I'm going to be using regardless, even if I'm not a part of that. So I'm super excited about that, because things are aligning together with the things that I'm doing. But this thing is part of me creating the things that I haven't done, because I've seen a lot of amazing creators here in Kenya, in Africa, in this region, all over the world, that created the opportunities. So get to a situation where it's not necessarily coming back and like, okay, that system isn't there. Create the system that you want to be participating in, so other people don't come in and get dissuaded like I did at that time. They can plug in, and then since they already plugged in earlier, they might have new ideas that will enrich the other things that I'm doing and lead to other opportunities. So that's it from now. It's been Silas. Guys, gals, and everybody else in between, goodbye. You'll be hearing a lot more from me.